Hi everybody. I'm making a multi-message. I'm just going to play it by ear and we'll see what happens. I'm probably going to be interrupted somewhere in the midst of this, but I really wanted to say something. I was revisiting the message that I made about deja vu, future self, being a role model, a good role model, letting your conscience be your guide. I thought I would do a message where together we can all do this, and I'll go visit that future version of myself in an actual journey and see what comes up. I don't know why I haven't been facing this head on. I'm not sure why. You guys ever notice that you have the opportunity to make a forward approach, but you're not for some reason? And it's not intentional that you're doing that. It's not been intentional that I haven't exactly gone to visit her. I don't know why I haven't felt like it was important. You guys are probably like, Abby, how could that not be important? That might be the most important thing. I'm not sure. I don't put a lot of energy into creating the fear factor. Because I mean, on some weird level beneath the surface, some part of me is like very innocently, things are going to happen as they're going to happen. And what is it going to really do for me to go talk to her to learn what exactly, you know? How's that really going to benefit anybody? I don't know that the answer is really there. Because if we're doing it differently in this version of the present moment, if we've come back to relive this lifetime again to create a different future outcome, then maybe the future that she exists in is not going to impact the future that we are creating. However, if we do go into the future already happen, you know, I was really into healing the past in order to heal the present, in order to heal the future. But what if time it starts in the future and then goes into the past, catches up with the future, which is the present? If we heal the future that we are creating in the present, if we change the future that we are creating in the present, then it creates a different echo back to us in the present. Therefore, we're able to interpret different clues, different pieces of information that guide us into a different future reality. So do we need to heal the past in order to heal the present, or do we need to heal the future in order to heal the past, therefore the present? It's just an interesting way of thinking about time. It just goes to show that what is time exactly. I also find it really an interesting detail that this future version of myself likes to go and communicate with earlier versions, because I do that. I also find it interesting that she's intense and she's bitter and she's in pain over a life that has been absolutely difficult, unfathomably difficult. I always made this weird joke because I'd struggled with depression. I'm telling you, I've struggled with the depression, suicidal depression. Am I a survivor of struggling from depression, or did I just need that experience transitioning into the next experience where I don't need that experience anymore? Because we're learning through everything that we go through. And then when we learn what we need to learn, we'll go through something new, okay? Am I a survivor of that experience? Did I conquer it, or did I just need to go through it in order to get through this next experience, which is something new? I still have echoes of it. What if maybe it's me transmuting something from the future in order to empower some part of me? I carry the gift of depression from that future part of me, so that future part of me can have more strength. I don't know. You know what I mean? We're connected to every version of time. This is why you got to expand your mind to the reality of things and why you go through stuff. Maybe it makes sense. Maybe it makes no sense. Maybe it doesn't matter, you know? But I go and talk to other versions of myself, and I have found odd, parallels here between her and myself, because I have felt a lot of anger inside myself and bitterness over conflicts, confusions, rules of thumb that I feel strongly. If you put energy into A, you will receive B. And constantly hitting a brick wall. Joe and I were just talking about how many times we had started and then had to start over again. So for instance, I finally started to fill my place with furniture and started to have a place to live. This was back in 2017, okay? And then I completely sold everything within, probably 8 months of doing this. I still had to sell everything, and then I left, moved into another place that ended up, I had to move out of within 3 months, unexpectedly, okay? And now I had no idea what I was going to do, only to start moving back and forth between the US and Canada. And I was living in an Airbnb. I had to move in, and then I had to move out completely. Move in, move out, move in, move out, move in, move out, move in, move out, completely. Only to get a place that I only kind of moved into because I couldn't cope with dealing with moving into a place, okay? And only for me to sell everything and move out, which is exactly what happened. I moved into a place in January of 2019. COVID hit because I wasn't planning on staying in that place for more than a year. COVID hit. And then I ended up buying a bunch of furniture. I did this all myself. I mean, I carried a freaking recliner chair. I found a way to circulate it up the stairs to get it put where it goes. Like, I had to carry this stuff. I had to carry heavy boards. I don't like being that kind of girl. I had to lift heavy, really, really heavy things. I had to find a way to move them up 2 flights of stairs and put them together with tools and then put them in their place. Like, I did this stuff with myself. And I got everything put right where it goes, and I felt like really finally like I had a home for a short period of time over COVID, and only to end up selling literally everything. And now here I am, living in another environment. Same thing with Joe. He's had to sell literally everything and start over again, and then sell everything and then start over again, and then sell everything and start. And we're talking within 5 years, 6 years. We have gone through so many times of this. That messes you up as a human being, but you just forget about it. It's just like, you just have to toughen up and just deal with it. But it breaks you down inside. It makes you angry, and you're sad because this stuff doesn't stop, and it doesn't make sense why you're going through this. And you're watching the world, and it's losing its mind. The world is losing its mind, its sanity. And oftentimes when that happens, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that that's happening because it needs to happen, okay? So the next phase of the human race is for it to become insane, and people are going to completely have no clue that this is going on because all they want is to continue to live in the, I don't really know. I'm not that kind of mentality. I don't know how to conceive of being in that mentality where everything is fine in the world today, and I'm just going to go with the flow of whatever I'm told, and I'm not going to argue with that, and I'm just going to keep putting one foot in front of the other in the same world that I've always known, and I'm not going to even question that world. I don't know how to conceivably not question literally everything. I mean, science, when I'm in school, science, literally the meaning of science is to question things. It's even to question the manifestation of brilliant ideas, that this is a genuine, brilliant scientific discovery. Question that, because we can take that brilliant discovery and we can improve it. If we don't question things, we can't improve the world. We can't improve ourselves. We can't improve our lives. We can't improve anything. Because time will stand still, and we will become like a statue that doesn't have to be anything more than what it is. That's why I don't understand why questioning things is now becoming illegal. It's almost like we're moving into a phase where if you question anything, you're on the evil team. You're team evil. It's like, I was taught that was the right thing to do. Now you're telling me it's the wrong thing to do? I don't believe you. I don't like what you're saying to me. Like, I don't agree. And I have to be polite about how I say it. And then how does that make anything change? Because eventually I'll just have to shut my mouth. So you can see why the future me is bitter and angry and harsh and broken, because this insanity of the world and how it's impacting my life and Joe's life and our kids' lives, it's devastating me the way that these kids are having to grow up in the world. But I'm trusting in this process is good. The reason why is I have no other choice but to. I know I'm getting to the part where I will talk to my future self, okay? I need to say all these things, I guess. Because sometimes what doesn't make sense can make all of the sense. We just have to give it time to reveal its mysteries to us. But we also have to stay aligned with our what we are. That's why it's important to ask yourself, am I being a good role model? Am I following my good conscience? Or am I making excuses and getting lazy because I am tired, because I am bitter about this world, because I'm angry inside, because I can't change my circumstances, because this and 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 this messed up thing has happened to me, and I'm freaking devastated and I'm messed up and I don't know what else to do, and this whole thing is bigger than me. You have to go back to the simple things that Jiminy Cricket taught us. You have to follow your conscience. Your conscience will guide you, and you have to remember to be a good role model. These are important details. So it's okay no matter what happens in this world, all right? It's okay whatever future, even if we have to see devastating things happen. Doesn't matter the age group that it happens to, it's devastating. It's harder to swallow things happening to children because they deserve to have a beautiful life experience because they're such beautiful people, you know? They ask us to be stronger than we are, and they give us the courage to become that. Kids do this. That's why kids are so precious. So, let me check, because I'm supposed to get a phone call here, or a message of some kind. I psychically sensed it. So, I just came 1 minute ago. It was in the past. All right, I'm in the future. It was in the past, and it was talking to me, and I was talking to it. All right, I gotta go. I'm just pausing this. You're only going to see what is like the blurred image of me moving from one scene to the next scene. All right, I'll be right back. Hi, everybody. You know what? I started a video last week, and I never was able to come back to it. And I'm trying to decide if I even care anymore about that message. Why did I make it in the first place? It must have some value, some meaning, right? So today's April Fool's Day. I have been thinking about so many things over the last, I guess, week. It's been a week since I made that. And I feel like I'm a totally new person again. Every week that goes by, it's like introducing me to myself again, and then myself again. So am I even the person that I was when I made that video, or am I some totally new person? I can't even keep up with myself. All right, my guides are like, so what would make you a new person, different than the person that you were that made that video? I got my hair done. I kind of look different. I'm officially 39. I had my birthday. I'm a year older in one day. Let me see. So an event happened with my future self because I wanted to channel my future self. I thought that would be quite interesting. And in the middle of the night, several days after I made that, like 12 minutes, my future self came to me. And now, since so much time has passed, it's quite vague, my memory of that exchange. What I do recall is I asked Cryon to come into this conversation. And the moment that I did that, she said, I don't talk to Cryon anymore. And I say, well, why not? She says, I don't even say that name. And I said, Cryon again. And that's when she turned to dust. And all that remained was her heart. And I took her heart and I placed it into my heart. And I said, we are now one. So whatever I was in the future of some other version of this present day life, I am now myself from the future and now in the present. whatever I am in consideration of the past. I am in wholeness with myself. I don't know what else to say about the cryon thing, but I had so many echoes come to me about the meaning of all of this. That is a real event, by the way. This isn't, I mean, you could say, well, this sounds pretty creative, pretty imaginative. Don't we learn by coming up with new ideas? And aren't those new ideas something of a creative nature? And so this exchange was absolutely intuitive and real to me. I've had so many real exchanges that are unimaginable in how real they can be. It's just like your angels can be absolutely real, even if you can't see them in the physical world. And people would be comfortable with that statement. But you can actually talk to your future self, and that future self you can watch die, turn to dust, and take the heart from that dust pile and put it into your chest and feel like a completely new person. And now what does that mean? So once that happened, obviously it's like, well, my deceased future self, I could actually channel my deceased future self, because for whatever reason I can't get back into that event in time. It doesn't compute vibrationally. It doesn't, I mean, I guess I can try and just see what it's like, but when it echoes back, it doesn't really, I don't feel a relationship of the value of it like I had. I actually prefer to work with my deceased future self than work with the future self who was struggling with so much loneliness and bitterness and loss and pain, and trying to solve this conflicting, weird human conundrum, and trying to find the solution and living how many versions of the same life. And I feel that the solution is, I don't want to live any more versions of this life. And I don't need to solve the problem. And maybe that's what Metatron was telling me. I've said this in other videos, that Metatron told me it was selfish of me to feel like I had the answer to what creates a good world. Just bear with me, as this is powerful stuff here. I mean, you guys better have your popcorn and your special drink, because this is gonna get good. I've just seen it echoing, like, TikToks I've watched of Biden, like, preparing us for this super profound thing he has to tell us, and it's like trails off. Am I going to end up doing that? Maybe. All right. Hear me out on this. It would sound absolutely absurd to say that to have a vision of a world where everybody is of value, that the money, that it's like the monetary value is our value system, but not the humans. The humans aren't the value system, the money is the value system. And then we as human beings work to receive that value, right? And the more of that value we receive, the more valuable we become in society. And now we're considered elites, you know? You ever think the weakest links are the so-called elites? Because without their value and their money and their status, we're trying to live up to that level. We're trying to attain that level. And where is that direction in our minds and our egos, and what creates a good society? I feel like that's a distraction from a good society, okay? All right, so we, the human beings, are the value of a good society. We are the value, okay? Now, my idea of creating a good world is that when human beings are the value, when human beings understand the value of themselves, I'm still working on this. I'm still learning how to conquer all these human ways that is self-imprisoning and self-manipulated, ego-based human ways. I'm not perfect, right? But I'm learning about this, and I'm wanting to share what I'm learning with others so we can break this thing down. We can beat this thing. We can evolve out of this thing. We can become truly benevolent people, incredibly benevolent, self-loving, loving of others, compassionate people. We can be intelligent people. We can come up with brilliant ideas that everyone benefits from. My God, the value of a society like this. And you're telling me, Metatron, that I'm selfish for my vision of a good world, okay? Now, let's take this idea and let's put it aside. There's other people that have a vision of a good world. I was just watching Black Widow. I just saw this movie, okay? I don't know how long Black Widow's been out, but I just watched it, okay? And I thought, wow, we do know that this stuff is actually being studied behind closed doors. Do we have access? Because I'm quite interested in knowing more about how we break down a human being's free will. And then once we understand the keys to what gets us access to that free will, then we can control the human race, right? We already know that stuff's going on. But here we have a wonderful character, you know, like Natasha, the Black Widow, to help us cope with this idea. So the idea stays as a fictional concept and not a reality concept. So now it's a comfortable introduction to the terror that's actually going on behind closed doors. What do you think is taking place in biolabs? Jacked up stuff like this that real human beings are having to endure. I mean, they told us the whole setup, the whole idea, this super ultra man in the sky who has control over the beginning and the ending of wars and what takes place, and he can do this, and he has all his widows. Wow, what a great guy. Untouchable, even to his own widows that he creates, untouchable, right? Not to Natasha, the super widow, right? She can outsmart this thing. But you can see how it creates this concept of an impossible elite. How would you ever break that person down? You never even touch them. But obviously it does break down. That's the ending of a really good story, is when you see the bad guy fall. What if the bad guy never falls? What if we want to believe that the bad guy can fall, but the bad guy never falls? All right, that's just its own idea. It's okay to have a story that doesn't end the way you want it to. I'm just telling you that. It's okay to have a story that doesn't end the way you want it to. What do you think my future self represented? She was a representation of the human race. It doesn't end the way you want it to. It doesn't end the way that all these human ascension speakers and people talking to all these other benevolent alien beings are saying that we're going to beat this thing, right? She's a representation of we didn't beat this thing. There is a version where we don't win, okay? Where the win is the loss. Where the win is the loss, it's okay to lose. What do we gain from losing? So much. Millennials. One of the jokes about millennials is that millennials, there is no loser. Because in the millennial age range, which is mine, we all get a reward. We all get a ribbon. So even if you participated and you didn't win, you still get the participation ribbon. I understand this. It means that everybody's precious. Even if you don't have the skills to be the super athletic person or the super smart person, you can still get a reward for just being you. That's beautiful. All right. But we do have to really embrace the concept of losing, okay? I'm going to tell you something else, because before I complete this full conversation about the selfishness of me and my dream of a perfect world, you know, there's other people's ideas of a perfect world, like Black Widow. I mean, that guy's idea of a perfect world is that we can control everybody, and then once we have control over everybody, then I can have a perfect world that you are just my slave to my vision and my dream. Maybe I'm creating a world where people are the slave to my vision or my idea. I don't know that that's true, because I want people to have the freedom to be themselves. I want to value people for being who they truly are. I want to empower people to find out who and what that is. I want to help people overcome their depressions and their anxieties and to heal from within. I want people to find the spirit of who they are, their talents, their purpose, their goal, and I want to value that person. I don't want to take that away from them, go live in the sky, and then have my little widow people that I've completely manipulated and mind controlled, and only with this special bio weapon against my mind control are they set free to now be what could be my enemy, right? All right, so I wanted to tell you this because my grandpa, one of my grandpas who passed away, I have two, all my grandparents have passed away. So we called him Papo, okay? And Papo came to talk to me. I was cleaning a house next door. Yeah, I clean houses sometimes on the side. I swear to God, there is something therapeutic about cleaning. As annoying as I also find this to be, we will always have to clean. For the rest of our life, we will have to clean. We'll have to clean ourselves. We'll have to brush our teeth. We'll have to clean out our body in the toilet, right? We'll have to wash our dishes, whether we want to or not. We will always have to clean. You will have to make your bed or not make your bed, but you have to live with that bedroom, whether you did fold the clothes or you didn't fold the clothes and you're having to look through that stinking pile, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. So when we clean, it gives us a weird sense of control over anything that is unclean in our life. And I'm finding this fascinating. This is like a psychological study that I'm having here, okay? We can learn from literally everything that we do. As I was cleaning, my grandpa was talking to me about survival and one of the things that is lacking in the human race, okay? We're depressed people. We're emotionally vulnerable people. We are enhancing our levels of anxiety, right? We have a relationship with wanting to have control over a world that we have no control over. This is eating us alive. We have access to material needs here in what you would call a first world country. We have access to the things that we need, but we don't feel at peace. How can we not feel at peace with having our needs met? What's wrong with us? Okay, my grandpa was saying that this is how you fix this problem. This is the solution to this problem, okay? When you don't have your needs met, you will start to value everything in your life. He showed me himself, and when he was growing up, this is what he showed me. This was the image. He showed me himself going out into the woods, hunting all by himself. And he's showing me 3 days of time. Now, this could include fishing, this could include hunting for pheasant, rabbit, deer, whatever, okay? Fishing. And he's saying, okay, nobody is going to get that food for me. I have to get that food for myself. I actually have to get that food for myself. And if I don't get that food, I'm not eating. Now it's cold outside and I have to make a shelter for myself. I have to set up a tent, or I have to create something that is going to be a shelter for me. I'm going to have to build my own fire. I'm going to have to keep myself warm. And if I don't find something to eat, then I will go without food. Now, if you put yourself in an environment where you are forced to survive, you aren't falling into an emotional despair. You are empowering yourself through this struggle to conquer this struggle. And now to come out on top. And now you have that food. Now you have to prepare that food and you have to cook that food and you eat that food and then you hope you get some more food. Now when life is about this, it's going to feel very different than life that we live in right in the here and now. We don't have to go hunting. We don't have to survive. We have our needs met. But yet we are unhappy people because we aren't aligned with what our body is tuned into, which is earth level living, physical life living. We are lacking in our physical life living. And I don't know why that's echoing to me now, but it's the value of being alive. It's the value of conquering yourself. It's the value of living in the moment and valuing survival, valuing pain that creates empowerment. I don't know. I had to tell you guys this was kept echoing at me. So I want to go back to this conversation about Metatron, and it was selfish of me and my future self, and now this Black Widow movie. And so I want to show you an idea, okay, where there are, let's say, elites. I would like to define them as the weakest links of the human race that have the most value are the weakest links because they value nothing more than themselves above all others. I don't want to say that's true for all, though, but you can't deny that there is a major psychological gap between somebody who has $1 billion and somebody who has minus $100 in the bank account. It's going to be a totally different relationship with survival, and the reality of our world is going to alter you psychologically, emotionally, than somebody who would have everything, even be able to control whole groups of human beings based upon what they feel is in the best interest of all. So people who have quite a lot become actual living gods. They do become living gods, okay? So now these living gods, let's say that their solution to create a good world is to control all the slaves. Because when we no longer have a right to ourself, because our self now is owned by somebody who can own people, because now the monetary system isn't about money, it's about people. That was another thing that I was told when I was walking. I said, what is this great reset? I said, what is going to happen, you know, with money? I'm looking at my future self and she's lost everything. And she's telling me that everything you've ever known is going to be erased. There is going to be no more malls and clothes and grocery stores. You're going to be surviving, okay? That was a different me, the different version of the same present day, okay? I don't know how many times I've lived it. All right. So I need to tell you, because I'm getting worn out from this conversation. I was told that human beings were going to be the next monetary system, okay? So the more human beings that you have control over, the more wealth that you would be considered to have. And now, how do we control these human beings? That's why we need this solution, right? That's why we need to figure out what creates free will in human beings and take that away so that we can have biological robots. Isn't it so interesting that we are on the pathway of figuring out how to move consciousness into a computer, into a robotic body? What not a better way to have everything and then have your slaves too, and they want to do whatever you want them to do, without crying, without saying no to you, without fighting back. All right. So, I'm going to pause for a minute. I had to talk about this. I'm getting bored and tired of talking about it. So I'm getting tired of thinking about it. Human beings are precious. And once that future version of me finally let go of trying to solve this issue, trying to solve this problem, and I was able to put her heart back into my chest, when I was able to let go of what I felt was best for humanity and what I was trying to create here, it felt like everything suddenly made sense. It felt like I finally understood what Archangel Metatron was saying. These elites will tell you that this would be of the greatest interest to who, though? Not even to themselves is it the greatest of the greatest good. It is not even the greatest good to themselves. It is not the greatest good to anybody, in my opinion. Because when you want to control people, that means you're extremely insecure. You need to control people in order to keep everything that you have. What do you have now? You have people too, but what do you actually have? You have no heart. So how can you really feel enriched? You yourself will have to become a biological robot in order to find depth and meaning in life. Be quite stale, quite dismal. I still feel that there is power and potential to our path here as a human race, and that's why we have so much opportunity to make something better happen. Am I going to do it? No. I'm just going to be another drop of water in the ocean. I'm just going to be a part of the flow. And it doesn't have to be my brilliant idea. It just can be an idea. That's it. That's it. It's just an idea, okay? So these are just ideas. So you can decide what works best for you. It's your idea. We can't. Okay, this conversation is coming to me. It's the words that they're saying is you can't empower people. Okay, hold on. It's kind of jumbled, but it's something like this. You can't empower people. First thing is you can't empower people. People must empower themselves. And I'm being shown what is like all these messages that we're going to 5D, that everything's going to be a great reset and it's going to be so much better, that it lacks the depth of what develops that transformation, what sets us all free. You set yourself free. I set myself free. I let go. And I'm just going to be who I am, and that's all I can ever be. I had this conversation with Archangel Lucifer today about the way things really are versus the way we want them to be. What is the way that you want it to be? What is the way you want yourself to be when you look at the mirror? When you look in the mirror, what is the way you want yourself to be? Now, when you look at your job or your business or your relationships, okay, what is the way you want those to be? Are you living in your mind visualizing the way you want things to be and then having to live with the way things are, but never really living with the way things are because it's intolerable? Now I see my grandpa out there having to live with the way things are as he's trying to get a rabbit so he has something to eat. Having to live with the way things are can actually strengthen us. When we choose to admit and acknowledge from the depths of our being the way things actually are, may not be that great, may not be the way we want them to be, empowers us. Archangel Lucifer is showing me how important it is to be empowered by the way things are, is actually the pain that we are avoiding. When we don't avoid the pain, when we face it and we exist in the pain of the way things are, we actually become stronger. We become stronger. How can we build a better world if we aren't thinking about the way we want things to be? Because we aren't existing in the way things are. We haven't fully embraced the way things are is the most beautiful way they could ever be right now. Empowers things to become something of a new kind. I talk to Archangel Lucifer, I say, well, wow, I'm so in gratitude for the way things are. Yeah, it's not the way I want things to be with the pharmaceutical companies or the governments of the world, or, it's not the way I want. The way things are is pretty disturbing. How can I appreciate the way things are? But what was interesting, when I just stopped evaluating and judging and seeing as needs to be better than this. I know you guys, this is going to give you something to really think about. You got your popcorn and your special drinks, because we're going to go there, man. If we stop processing, digesting, visualizing the way we want the world to be, receiving the messages we want to hear, because we want to believe in that. Thinking that by believing in something better, we are then manifesting it, but we never took the time to embrace the way the things are. We just didn't ever want it to be this way. We're judging it without realizing that we're doing it. We're putting it down. We're stomping on it. We're spitting on it. We embrace the way things are in its raw, gross reality. That is when we genuinely love. That is when we know genuine, true love, not because we're trying to change it. Can you look in the mirror and genuinely love you just the way you are? And isn't that more powerful than loving you for who you would rather be or who you want to become? And maybe if I did this or I did that, then I would love myself more. Stop doing that. Love yourself the way that you are right now. Is the same powerful thing as loving the pharmaceutical companies for the way they are right now. Loving the governments for the way they are right now. Loving the people that we can't stand the most just the way they are. It will change you. It will change your relationship with everything in this world. It even changed my relationship with that future self when she finally turned to dust, and why crying was a part of that event, I don't know. But I took that heart and I put it inside myself, and I felt like I was free somehow. I was free of her pain. I was free of a very long time. I felt like I've always felt that I was never going to die. I have always felt like I was going to live a really long time, and I wondered if maybe maybe once you create human slaves, we come up with a solution. Because if we can't, if the human race creates a strategy so that we can't have children anymore as a solution to what is a world problem of too many babies being born, right? Then what we can do is come up with a pharmaceutical so that people can live like extraordinarily long lives. And then these slaves can just keep doing their work for 400 or 500 years or who knows how long. I felt like I was going to live forever. I felt like I was going to live a very long life. This lifetime I was going to live a very long life and I wasn't going to die. I also constantly endured this experience of not wanting to live anymore. Is that possible? The echo of the future was coming back to me to create that event of severe depression. And was I potentially connecting to some version of myself in another timeline of the same timeline of Earth, some round, who hadn't died yet? She couldn't die. But she also was part of an interdimensional space of gathering information. I can't conceive of how all of this stuff is possible. All I can say is this is how it came to me, okay? Then we can be surprised. Or maybe we'll be surprised in the worst ways or in the best ways. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's just life, you know? So I felt a new relationship with myself and even a new relationship with my higher self. And I felt like I valued myself more now than I'd ever valued myself before, and I understood something unimaginable, unfathomable. There could very well be a future version of you that knows about what I'm talking about. And it's funny because we can talk to the deceased future versions of ourselves. All right. I'm just going to pause because I understand Archangel Metatron. That's what happened to the future version of me. Those are the messages that I wanted to tell you. The importance of loving this world for the way that it is, believe it or not, is a powerful way of manifesting something without trying to make it the way we want it to be, okay? Another thing that I came to realize is that we've been in a prolonged state of an inward process collectively, okay? The human race has been going inward. I think we've been going inward so much that it's creating the depressions and the anxieties. These could be connected to future versions of ourselves, I don't know. It could just be the jacked up way the world is right now that we're having a hard time accepting the way things really are, okay? And it's messing with us. This is huge because we've got to get the psychological stuff interpreted. But I guess that's me trying to put my ideas and change the way things are. But my ideas are still valuable, so I'm just going to have a neutral stance on this is simply my idea, and maybe it's a value to somebody, but only people can empower themselves. And that therefore the world, in order for it to change, must be changed by empowered people. Not because one person controlled everybody and only a certain number of people had that right to control everybody, became incarnate gods on this earth with a bunch of freaking biological robotic slaves. What a boring reality that would be. Telling you this stuff gets really boring when you have everything. That's why that Squid Games that series, the Squid Game series was so interesting, because I see that truth. I see that as a psychological condition of having everything and getting bored. It's the point that people aren't even real anymore. They're just material objects that don't matter, and that creates entertainment. All right, so my guides are like, is that the end of the conversation? Is this the story that ends on this blank note? And is that create a good story? One thing's for sure, don't ever worry about what comes next. It's just, remember, this is called life, okay? This is life. Embrace it and be in the body of life. Be in your body. Embrace your life. Embrace its imperfections. Embrace yourself. Feel at peace. I'm going to go to the deceased future self. Or maybe I'll stop here. I don't know. I realize this is going to be a long video, and people these days do not have an attention span. Like, we need minute messages these days. 1 minute messages. We need 3-minute messages. We don't need 45-minute messages. We don't have time for this. We don't have time for 45-minute messages. Nobody has time anymore. I'm going to actually stop it here. And I'm going to just start some new message because I have a lot of other things that I want to say. So if you feel like listening to this all the way through, and then you can listen to the next message. I'm going to make it right now, but I'm probably not going to post it for a little while until after this video has been posted for a little while. That's all I got to say. Thank you for watching, and something interesting is about to be shared again soon.